It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
And welcome to Car Con Carne. Here from home, it is Quarantine Con Carne through the rest of the year. Car Con Carne is sponsored by C&H Financial Services. Business owners, this is the time you need to find help to make your way through all this mess. C&H Financial Services is here for you, offering a variety of products ranging from traditional merchant accounts to a zero-cost payment processing solution, which eliminates the expense associated with accepting Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express as a form of customer payment. So if you're an independent business, independent restaurant, C&H Financial Services eTab solution is easy to set up for your business so you can do online ordering, curbside pickup. They also offer cost-effective commercial lending programs, which can help get your business the money it needs to make it through these unprecedented times. To learn more, contact C&H Financial Services at 855-600-2437 or go to chfs.us. My guests tonight, well, let's start with, I'm going to call this guest the focal point. He is Josh Caterer. Now, I wrote this in the description.
To be known as the nucleus.
You are. You're the buckle to this belt. I mentioned this when I posted this on Facebook just now. You hear his voice every night. He does the Car Con Carne podcast theme song. But you might also be interested to know that Josh Caterer also has a long and celebrated music career. It's true. He's in a band called Smoking Popes. Can you imagine? But Smoking Popes look very different right now. What's going on? Who are you with tonight here, Josh?
Oh,
these are not Smoking Popes.
These are not Smoking Popes. These are other musicians. There are other perfectly valid musicians who aren't in the Smoking Popes, like these two talented and handsome gentlemen on the podcast with us now. From my view, directly below me is John Perrin, drummer extraordinaire. You might know him from the band NRBQ, but I first became acquainted with him when his band The Love Shots played with the Popes some years ago, and known each other ever since. And then over there, from where I'm sitting, he's over there. I don't know if the people are seeing it that way, but it's John San Juan from the legendary Hush Drops.
Legendary.
But also...
We are now, yeah.
Many other projects. Multi-instrumentalist, brilliant songwriter. Both of these dudes who I have admired for a long time and wanted to play with, and it just seemed like a COVID shutdown was the perfect opportunity to mix it up a little bit and call these guys up and see if they wanted to jam and try to make some music together. And here we are.
And I don't want to bury the lead here. Tomorrow night, we're recording this on Tuesday the 27th. Tomorrow night, you'll be at the Hideout. Now, if this were a year ago, people would be saying, oh, cool, Josh is at the Hideout. Can't wait to go. Right. Different times, you'll be at the Hideout, but no one will be able to be there inside with you and the band. Right. So this is a live streaming event. You're recording a live album from the Hideout tomorrow night.
We are.
Why is that funny?
Well, it's sort of a crazy idea, I think. And we've talked about this at our rehearsals. Where like it's one thing to do a virtual concert from the Hideout. It's another thing to voluntarily take upon yourself the added pressure of recording an album entirely of single takes of songs with a bunch of people watching, without the benefit of being fueled by a cheering crowd. You know,
isn't that? I think about like Joe Jackson in the 1980s. He did that.
What was
it? Big World. He did that where the audience had to be silent.
Yeah,
as he recorded that live album.
That I thought of that when we were getting the idea for this show that we're doing. I thought of his Big World record. It's a great record, and
yes.
It sonically, it's kind of wonderful because they since there isn't a crowd in there, it sort of sounds like a studio album, but like a live in the studio album. It sort of has the best of both worlds, where it's very precise. And I think if I remember reading something about that album where they did multiple takes, so you're hearing a live complete take, but the audience there had to sit through several takes of a song until they got one that was just right. We're not going to do that tomorrow night. We're just going to play each song once, and if it's not a complete train wreck, we'll just stick with it.
I love it. I mean, I think I say this, it feels like every night at this point on this podcast, but the pandemic has forced creatives to find new ways to do old things. And I think stuff that is more immediate and raw and authentic it's the norm. It's the new rule. So I think something like this makes absolute sense. Oh yeah, and to do tomorrow.
I saw, over the summer, pretty quickly into the shutdown, I saw that the Hideout adapted to the situation, and they kind of developed a virtual presence through their website that was pretty strong, pretty quickly after the lockdown, and started doing these in-house shows and different kinds of events that were pretty cool. And it seemed like, I saw that happening. I was like, this is something that I want to be part of this somehow. And then that blended together with the idea that I wanted to play with these two guys. And, it blended together further with this third idea that I also wanted to continue to explore the concept that was the concept of a Smoking Popes album years ago called The Party's Over, which came out in I think 99. But that was a kind of a concept album in that it was an album of covers, all of which were from, most of which, there was a Willie Nelson song on there as well, but I think all the other songs on the album were written like in the 40s and 50s and 60s. So they were kind of from the golden age of big band songwriting, and they were songs that had been made popular by like Frank Sinatra and Judy Garland and Nat King Cole and people like that. And we wanted to kind of take a bunch of those songs and do our own versions of them. And we did that for one album, and I've always had it kind of rolling around in my brain that I wanted to explore that more. And so that is also part of what we're doing. Like a lot of the songs that we're going to be doing tomorrow night are new interpretations of that era of songwriting.
So you're going way back. These are standards and classics. Is it mostly covers tomorrow?
It's 60-40. 60% covers, 40% reinterpreted versions of Smoking Pope songs.
Oh, that's cool. It's a value at any price, and you can get tickets to watch at home.
Something for everyone. Like the little snippet of the song that we shared already on Facebook last week, just to give people a taste of what we were doing, was our cover of the Tony Bennett classic Rags to Riches.
That's awesome.
So it's that sort of thing. It's what you're going to be getting a lot of tomorrow night. And
I love it.
We've had so much fun working on this stuff. Like, it's just been a blast. And I don't want to monopolize the conversation, but I think I speak for all of us when I say, like, it's really been a joy developing this material. And I think that exuberance is going to come across tomorrow night.
Before we talk more about that, I do want to acknowledge at some point when this interview is over, I want to watch this on YouTube, rewatch it on Facebook, because John San Juan is trying to surreptitiously drink his beer. Like he has some kind of phobia about drinking it on camera. You see him kind of.
Are we all on the screen though for the
yes.
viewers?
John San Juan drink beer?
Oh well, Jesus! I'll just.
I think it's adorable. Like, who are you fooling, bro? There we go.
I also didn't want to distract from what you and Josh were saying. I think more pertinently,
I like to think of it
He
as
doesn't-
visual interest.
He doesn't want to lose some of his Mennonite fans who might turn against him.
Oh, those are big families. I mean, you lose one Mennonite family and you're
Yeah,
That's it. You're toast. You're done.
you're playing to the bleachers. Yeah.
50 fan club members gone.
Yeah, Josh, you said something right before we talked about John's surreptitious beer drinking about how you're kind of fired up and you enjoy the kind of energy of playing with these guys, working with these guys. I think that's an important thing for anyone who writes, plays, does anything. Finding that way to spark those feelings during this madness, during lockdown. I think it's important that you found it and you found this release and new direction. And I would encourage anyone who's feeling pent up or just kind of miserable right now to find a way to scratch that creative itch. I'm glad you're doing it, and we actually benefit from it, which is the great part. The selfish part for me is we get to see you scratch that itch tomorrow night.
Yes.
Because it's funny.
A whole lot of scratching.
At the very beginning of this pandemic, it was that first weekend when we found out, okay, everyone's going to be working from home. Everything's kind of upside down. This is before restaurant closures version 1. I had you on along with Dr. Daryl Wilson and Dr. Dennis Buckley talking about, oh, this is weird, isn't it? And hey, Dr. Daryl, how bad is this? And we kind of didn't know the extent of things and where we'd be 6-7 months from then. And it's almost quaint to look back on that, knowing what we know now. And here we are 7 months later. You're all touring and recording musicians, and we're still on Zoom, which is tough. Is everybody holding up okay? Above and beyond playing tomorrow?
I think you have to, right? Apart from all of the very real sacrifices, for one thing, being resourceful and doing the types of things that we're doing both right in this moment and what we're doing tomorrow, and even in the preparation where, okay, well, we've only got one person on mic, so this is feasible at, a proper social distance that, you don't have 7 people belting it out in each other's faces.
Right.
And so on. Amidst all the sacrifices, I guess people are finding ways to, keep their spirits going,
So how have you been able to practice, and how much have you practiced leading up to tomorrow?
Well, Mr. Perrin actually figured this one out, that as of tomorrow, day of the show, from the first practice that we had till tomorrow, the day of the show, it's been 41 days.
How many days?
I think 41.
Okay.
It's 40 days today. It'll be 41 days tomorrow, right?
Yeah, September 17th, Hank Williams' birthday was the first time we played together.
Perfect.
All right. And we wrapped it all up yesterday or the other day on Picasso's birthday, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of our thing. We only practice on good birthdays.
We might have done one on a bad birthday.
It is. When we show up for practice, he always has that information on hand, which celebrity birthday we are practicing on.
Second practice was Johnny Ramone's, I think. Second or third, but
And it does bring a different kind of feel to the practice when you know.
Oh yeah.
It is. I like, how many do you remember, like, how many practices have we had?
Not a ton. I mean, maybe 7 or 8 total.
I was thinking of it in regards to once we had all the arrangement down, like when we started practicing as a set. I think we've only done 4 or 5 of those.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Because the preliminary ones were, let's try these 4 today.
Yeah, we spent the first at least 2 practices just like hashing through, like, what songs do we want to play? Like, here's some songs we could try. And, not all of them made the cut. But once we landed on the 10 songs that we wanted to go with, then we put those into a sequence and got together for maybe 5 practices where we just ran through them top to bottom.
I love not knowing what these songs are. Like I kind of know what a Smoking Pope set will be. I don't know what tomorrow will be, and that's what makes this really cool.
So, James, you've got. I mean, I know you're a father, and Josh and I had spoken about this pretty early in the game about how often, like whether it's with Christmas gifts or different events, where you're constantly staging these surprises for your children, and part of the big thrill of doing this is that it has a lot of that like Santa Claus quality, like wrapping up the Nintendo Switch or whatever. And again, a sort of another unexpected, the benefits of coronavirus,
Yeah, so I wasn't sure if we should even, I mean, we did end up releasing a couple of snippets of songs via social media, but
don't forget.
There was some debate as to whether we should even do that or just keep the thing completely shrouded in mystery so the people had no idea what they were getting.
No, I think a tease that this isn't what you'll expect, and it's going to be something cool and interesting and that you haven't seen before. I think giving people enough of a hint of that is a good thing.
Yeah.
So this is happening tomorrow night at 8:00, live from the Hideout. Not only is it a live stream event, it is something that will be committed forever to recorded media. So what's the goal? Is the goal just putting it out on Bandcamp? Is the goal pressing vinyl? Is the goal putting it on fabulous compact disc? What's the plan?
Okay. Just only cassette. Just a cassette release.
Can I tell you? Okay. I had the band Diagonal on Car Con Carne a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about how they did their first gig in Chicago. I forgot where it was. Maybe it was like Bottom Lounge or something. And they talked about how for the first gig, they made sure they had cassettes pressed up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, cassettes? I can't believe, who are those people who still stand by cassettes? It's such a clearly inferior method to share music. Not knowing
James.
Not knowing at the time, Dan from the band Diagonal has his own cassette-only record company. That was one of my most awkward moments of Car Con Carne this year was mocking the venerable cassette in front of someone who made cassettes. So I'm having him back on next week, along with Andy.
I mean, he may be on there for the rest of his life, given the way you set this all up.
Well, no, I have him on Sunday night with Andy from Smash Plastic. They're going to have a cassette versus vinyl discussion.
Wow.
I will say to the testament of cassettes too, especially when I first moved to Chicago. I mean, I've been collecting records and music ever since I was really young, and I had this theory about cassettes where I liked it because it was a little more of like something than a CD booklet, like there was still some art involved and whatnot, and there's different mastering in there, but I had this theory that it was a deterrent from having your car broken into. Like, especially around Chicago, because if somebody goes and peers in your car, it's like, oh man, he still listens to cassettes. This guy has nothing.
Yeah,
but I stuck with him for a little while then.
That's hard to debate.
Yeah,
I totally went on a tangent there. What is the plan, Josh?
Oh, the plan is eventually vinyl. I definitely want to get there. We have not yet worked out the details of who would put that out. If we're going to do vinyl, I would want to be partnering with a label that'll have some distribution and that sort of thing. But definitely, I think in the more immediate, this is something that we could put up on various streaming outlets, your Spotify's, your Apple Music, so that people can just listen to it on their phones.
I love it.
Like you do,
So the obvious question, I probably should have asked this earlier, does this mean bad things for Smoking Popes, or is this just you scratching your itch?
Oh, no, it doesn't. The Smoking Popes are fine. It just seemed like there was a kind of a forced break, a forced timeout for the Popes. It's a little more difficult to get things together with the Popes. Mike moved to Milwaukee, and we don't all live that close to each other anymore. So if we're going to do something, there's a little bit of logistic difficulty involved in getting everybody together, which doesn't mean that, we shouldn't do anything. But it just seemed like, okay, well, the stuff that we had on the agenda, we had some shows booked at the beginning of the year, and those, of course, all got canceled, as everybody's gigs got canceled, except apparently for Smash Mouth. But everybody else's gigs,
Smash Mouth endures.
Everybody else realized that they couldn't play shows anymore, and so it's just one of those things where it's like, when what you're doing kind of is forced to stop, you sort of, like you were saying, like maybe this would be a time for me to rewatch some movies that I haven't seen in 20 years. It's sort of like, if you get sick and you have to stay on the couch for a couple of days, it's like, well, I've been meaning to make it all the way through The Irishman. Maybe this would be a good opportunity to do that. And it's sort of like, okay, the Popes have been forced to like take a break, and it's like, I've always kind of thought it would be awesome to play with John Perrin and John San Juan and just see what happens. So like, I'll take the opportunity to call them up and see if they want to, just for the fun of it, and just sort of see what happens. And I called them up and they were game. They were like, yeah, sure, whatever. We both we've got practice spaces that aren't being used that much these days. So,
yeah. So
I've been waiting for that phone call for a while. So thanks.
Yeah.
Just been drinking beer in his kid's room, sitting in front of a laptop.
No, that doesn't say. That's not Josh.
Looking at the phone.
I'm ready. Why won't he call? All right. So,
if you don't mind me directing the interview here, James, but I think out of the three of us in this little band, the person who actively tours the most is probably John Perrin, right?
Yeah, I would probably say so.
And so,
not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, that was going to be my question. Like, how has your COVID experience been? And I don't know.
Yeah, it is pretty strange. I mean, even it was just kind of a whirlwind situation, because for the 2 weeks up until the shutdown, I was actually in Ukraine doing a bunch of shows. And so I left and was in Ukraine for 2 weeks, which is this crazy juxtaposition of being in the United States, and then came back and like nothing was ever the same, which was pretty weird. And I remember it was like within that week, I had a friend that knew somebody from like WGN. So this guy came to our apartment and like interviewed me sitting pretty much right where I am now. In fact, I was probably wearing even like the same shirt, which is kind of a lounge shirt. And I remember him asking me like, what does this mean for you? And how long do you think this is going to last? And immediately I knew it would be until, August at least. And everybody I knew kind of had these different beliefs of like things will settle down in 2 months or so. But I kind of prepared myself to be in this for the long haul and realized, all my income is from touring, and I kind of realized that I had to make new plans. And in some ways, there were a lot of unfortunate things that have happened this time. Like I've lost a bunch of friends and my income is, pretty much decimated because of this. But it was great because it gave me the opportunity to dive into things I normally wouldn't. Like one of the things is recording and recording engineering, which I've spent a lot of time doing since the shutdown, and getting to hang out with my family. That's kind of like John said, COVID positivity. That definitely rings true for me, I think, because I think every year for the past 6 years, I've been gone at least 200 days out of the year. And I missed every holiday except Christmas. I would fly home to be home with my family for 12 hours on Christmas.
I know you're one of the most actively traveling musicians that I know. Out of all the bands I know that even tour full time, you're like right up there in the one
Yeah.
tile of travelers.
Yeah, and honestly, like even relating directly to this project, had this not been happening and Josh kind of gotten the wild hair to say like, oh, let's see if we can do something or play together. If COVID hadn't shut everything down, I probably wouldn't have been around to do it.
Right.
I mean, I was walking, I was just taking walks around my neighborhood in Chicago just to get out, and Josh called me when I was on a walk asking if I'd be interested in this, and was like, well, I have nothing to do for about 6 months, so let's go.
I think you should do a tour T-shirt and just have the Hideout date on the back.
World tour, yeah.
Great idea.
20. Just in maybe in large font, or just have the small font.
Yeah.
Hideout 1028
I'll
20.
set up a merch table out on the sidewalk in front of my house.
Yes.
And I'll just sit there with a mask on. If anybody drives by and they want a T-shirt, I'll sell it.
Like a lemonade stand.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've observed in this, if I guess in the run up to this event tomorrow, is that our routine has been to see each other once a week and rehearse, and John's been recording it to sort of monitor how awesome it sounds, basically. But I've noticed that like this is certainly the extent of my social life. I can't speak for the two of them, but our congregation has a certain ambience to it where like you've literally been let out of the dungeon for a couple hours a week, and the amount of hanging that we do in this sort of situation where we're really meant to be getting down to business is abundant. I think it's greater than it is in non-pandemic times, and possibly because the scarcity is so palpable.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a certain social desperateness that we all bring to our practices.
So the show is tomorrow night. You're performing. It's a live streamed event. Again, recording an album live from the Hideout. Tickets are available through the Hideout's website, hideoutchicago.com. There is no venue capacity. People can just fill up. Tell your friends in Belize, in Australia, in Iceland, they can all come to this show tomorrow virtually.
Yeah, that's the great thing is usually if we were playing at the Hideout, the cap would be, what is that room? It's not that big of a room, 150?
No. Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. But here we could have 10,000 people at a Hideout show.
That's
time.
exactly right. This is an important thing to point out.
We're 10,000 people at the show. The show was awesome.
Oh my God. It's important to point out, as of tonight, Josh Caterer tied for first place, most guest appearances on Car Con Carne.
Woohoo!
Tied with the previously mentioned Dennis Buckley of 88 Fingers Louie and Tyler Wildy, proprietor of Epic Deli. Three-way tie right there. Tied for second are Dr. Daryl Wilson, Scott Lucas of Local H. And Scott Lucas of Local H. So fine repeat guests.
Yeah, it's good company to be in. But I'm glad to be beating them all soundly.
Buckley has a thing about it. Like he's fiercely competitive with you, Josh. He doesn't want you to win. He wants to keep you down.
He's texting me right now saying, "You're going down, Caterer."
Right. It's become a clear thing. And I mentioned Scott Lucas. He's one of those guys. I've loved watching him too during this whole period. Just another guy for, I think, other musicians to check out, see how he's found a way to work his way through all this madness. He's done some pretty cool stuff too.
They did a drive-in show, right?
They did a couple. They're now veterans of the drive-in scene.
Okay.
But yeah, he's done some cool stuff. I love to see. It sucks that we can't see you in person at the Hideout. It sucks that we can't go to live shows. It sucks that you can't play live shows in front of a crowd. But I love the fact that musicians are finding ways to exist and share and perform and do the things they do, and we're able to enjoy them.
Yeah.
Even if it's through a computer, we're able to participate in some way.
That's the thing about being a musician, being an artist, is that you you do it sort of because you have to. To quote John Lee Hooker, it's in him, and it's got to out. So if whatever format or situation previously existed for you to do your art, if that stops or morphs into something else, you have to morph with it. And I think musicians have already proven that they're willing to do that in the face of the fact that there came a point where you could no longer actually make money selling your music. I mean, like there was a day when artists could live off of record sales or CD sales, and then things changed and you just couldn't do that anymore. And musicians didn't stop making albums because of that. It turned out that they were willing to do it even if they weren't going to make money off of it. They just had to, shift it to try to earn money in a different way. And then all the shows dry up and musicians are like, yeah, I'm still not going to quit doing this. I'm just going to I'll do it on Facebook if I have to.
That's right. Do it over Zoom. On the Facebook, speaking of which, Mike just checked in and said, "Hi, Johnny. This could go one of two ways." So for either
I'm
one,
going to say Perrin.
I think it's Perrin.
I do like, I've brought this up before, but I do like that this band could feasibly be titled Josh, John, and Juan.
Josh, John, and Juan.
Yeah.
And there's a beard
Not
requirement.
Suggesting, but yeah.
There's a beard
which you have met.
Yeah, I could be in the band.
And my glasses. You're wearing the uniform.
Yeah,
and my name starts with J.
Yeah.
And you're
Welcome
wearing
aboard.
a long sleeve collared garment, so you're in.
Okay, we should explain that. So before John Perrin jumped on the call, Josh and I are sitting here in t-shirts. I'm wearing my handsome new Bull Weevil shirt acquired at a drive-in concert. John San Juan, I noticed, is wearing a blazer, and Josh and I are just wearing like rock and roll tees. And then Josh, I think, got a little self-conscious, so he threw on something with sleeves. Then I was the only guy wearing a short sleeve t-shirt, so I had to go to my closet and find something denim, and here we are. But it started out a lot more casually, but because of John San Juan and his commitment to formality.
As you've seen, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I was wearing, and I kind of, now that you mention it, I want to show it to you. It's this t-shirt that my good friend Brad Anderson sent to me that has on it, if you can see this.
All the venues, right?
All the venues in Chicago, and it's sort of in the shape of the city, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
There's the Hideout somewhere. Where's the Hideout? I can't quite. It's on. Oh, it's a big one.
It's under the Park West, apparently.
Yeah. But
super cool.
Yeah, I wear this around just to sort of remind myself of the treasure that these venues are and how much I love them and miss them and wish the best for all of them. And I know that some of them are not going to survive the shutdown, but I hope that most of them do. And so I'll take this opportunity to encourage the listeners and viewers to support the Chicago Independent Venue League, CIVL. I think it's
Civil.
CIVL. Yeah. Is their website is CIVL.com?
.org, I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
.org. Whatever it is, look up the Chicago Independent Venue League, and it's a totally grassroots thing where the proprietors of these independent.
Hang on, sorry, civilchicago.com, CIVLchicago.com. There it is.
Okay, civilchicago.com. The proprietors of these venues came together and formed a coalition to support each other and to try to get support, necessary support coming from the government, and to raise funds just to sort of disperse among the venues to keep them afloat. And it's a wonderful organization that is worthy of our support. So check it out.
And you guys have been in and out of every Chicago venue collectively. I don't think there's one you guys haven't been in. Yeah, exactly. Because when did Hush Drop start? I mean, Hush Drops were early 90s when you started, weren't it?
That's accurate. Yeah. I mean, it's like talking about old money or something. I remember the jug of milk I bought the day of the first Hush Drop practice, and my kids they wouldn't believe me, And
NRBQ has been around since, I think, before I was born. But John, you've been in NRBQ for 5 or 6 years?
Yeah, just over 5, if I remember correct.
So that's kind of a big train to jump on.
Yeah, especially I was 23 when I joined, I think. I was born around the halfway mark of the band existing at this time.
Wow.
I was born in 92, so yeah, that was pretty insane.
But super cool.
Yeah.
And you've like Josh said, you've been around, you've played all over the world, and you're the most well-traveled of everyone on this call.
I'm the most well-traveled John Perrin there's ever been.
Indeed. All right. So again, tomorrow, 8:00, we can't see you in 3D, but we can sure see you play live tomorrow. It's a set that we can't possibly anticipate. It's going to be, like you said, 60%, 60 covers, 40% not covers.
Correct.
That's awesome.
Oh, they're all covers for me, James.
Yeah, unless you made the argument that we are covering some Smoking Pope songs, in which case it's a set of all covers.
I guess that's fair. If I think about setlist.fm, when someone plays his or her music from that band, it's listed as a cover. So tomorrow, if you play, let's say Megan, it'll be listed as Smoking Pope's cover on setlist.fm. Just thinking ahead.
Yeah,
You should play Megan.
It's six songs that I didn't write and 4 songs that I did. But
I wants to hear Megan. That's cool.
Yeah, you
We can talk about this after James gets off the call.
right. No, that is actually something that I've loved about this project as well. Is taking a sort of a new taking a new look at some old friends songs that I mean I love playing in the Smoking Popes, and I look forward to playing Pope's versions of those songs again. But it has been sort of exhilarating to approach those songs in a different way with a couple of different guys who bring something else to the table. And it's I felt like to do that with some Smoking Pope songs would be in keeping with the spirit of the project, because a lot of those old cover songs that we're doing are songs that have been subject to interpretation by these singers who really are this, interpreters of songs is what they are. Like if you hear a version of a song that's recorded by Sinatra and another one that's recorded by the same song recorded by Sammy Davis Jr. or Tony Bennett or Ella Fitzgerald or anybody like that, they've it's the same song, but they all bring out like a different a different emotional quality of the song. And I think that just speaks to something about the songwriting. Like a song isn't necessarily a particular arrangement of the song. Like, going back to, when Beethoven was writing a song, like the song is not any particular version of it. It's like this information that was captured like on paper. Like that's what he wrote, and there's however many different symphony orchestras there are. that's how many different valid versions of the songs you can get. And I don't know. I kind of wanted to extract some of that out of a few of these Smoking Pope songs, if I could.
I think that's a really interesting thing too, because, you know, growing up, I was a really big Smoking Popes fan. Of course, I'm still a big Smoking Popes fan. So I remember that being in the same conversation, or the first conversation that Josh and I had was the idea, like, one of my favorite records of all time is a record called The Stardust Road by a guy named Hoagy Carmichael. And so Hoagy Carmichael wrote Stardust, which is like one of the, you know, the cornerstones of, you know, American songwriting, and how many different people, like you were saying, had completely valid versions of that. And I would like to pose this question. I'm not going to reveal the song, but I'm asking Josh and John, who is the person you most associate with the first song we're playing tomorrow night? Because that's kind of an interesting thing. Like, I'd be willing to bet all three of us are going to have different answers, and I will give my answer after you guys give yours. Like, who would you associate?
Okay, so we're not going to say the name of the song, but we're going to say
they can tune in tomorrow and see
who we associate the song with.
Yeah,
I associate it with Elvis Costello.
Okay.
I associate it with Josh Caterer and Friends. That's a very Moira Rose answer, but I'm nothing if not transparent.
Yeah, and mine is Chet Baker. So it's just that. I mean, that's even going to bring in interesting qualities. Like, even if we were all trying to say mimic what we know as that song, it would still come out as completely different. I feel like saying the word cover gets kind of like a really negative connotation sometimes.
Yeah, that's interesting, because like, if with a song like, say, and we're not doing the song tomorrow night, but like, you know, You Make Me Feel So Young, right? Like, that is it. People associate it with Frank Sinatra, but you know, if some other crooner does it, you know, if you're listening to the Andy Williams version of You Make Me Feel So Young, is that a cover? Is he covering Frank Sinatra?
Doubt it.
No, he's just doing a version of that song.
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra didn't write that song. And I don't know if he was the first person ever to record it. He may not have been. So a song is just its own entity, and then interpreters of songs come in and try to attack it from their own angle.
Well, Josh, I think the first version was done by Martha Tilton with Paul Weston and his orchestra. Does that sound right? My memory fades.
Yeah. Come to think of it, I think you're right.
Or was it Michael Bublé? I lose track.
Yeah.
His version. Right. I'm a huge Michael Bublé fan, by the way.
He's a mega talent. Not my thing, but I appreciate the fact that he's got talent for days.
Very, very talented.
All right. That all said, tomorrow night, 8:00, live from the Hideout. Get your tickets on hideoutchicago.com. Kick back, have a cold San Juan type beverage as you enjoy the live stream.
On name brand.
as a live album is recorded. I think this is going to be great. And actually, this is perfect because tomorrow night I scheduled Car Con Carne for 9:00. So if you're only doing 10 songs, I mean, I'll be free by like 8:20.
Right.
Oh, you've got Buckley on again? That sounds like a really short show.
It should be good. I'm really excited about this. I love the just the surprise nature of this. The set list is this new combo we haven't seen perform before together, doing songs we haven't seen performed necessarily by Josh before. New takes on Smoking Pope songs. This is going to be awesome. And it'll be committed to vinyl at some point too. I love it.
Yeah. And it's been surprising to me as well as we've worked on the material. I came into these practices with like a handful of songs that I wanted to try, but I came in with sort of a preconceived notion about what those arrangements might sound like and what the vibe of the project might be. But once we started actually playing together and these guys brought their own magic to the rhythm section, the thing sort of took off in a different direction than I expected, which is why a couple of the songs that I had in mind didn't make the cut, because it was just like, okay, this band isn't what I imagined it would be. It's exceeding my expectations, even though I knew these guys were both fabulous musicians. But the three of us playing together, I think, quickly became this entity with its own voice that has an energy and a kind of a, I don't know, there's a certain controlled, reckless abandon to it that I really like a lot. So
now, which Smash Mouth song are you covering tomorrow?
You Make Me Feel So Young.
Yeah.
all right.
I assume they've done a version of that at some point.
Yeah, no, that was on Astro Lounge. That was a
They
good
do
one.
a lot of covers, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was on Fushi May, but I could be wrong. Yeah.
It was
It's a song about an ogre.
now, credit to both me and John Perrin. We named their first two albums.
Honestly, okay, so that's a big deal to me. Playing with these guys too is Josh mentioned, like, or Josh and John mentioned getting together and talking about music, but these are like two of the only other guys I know that within one sentence I could mention Blossom Dearie, Kiss, and Roger Miller, and everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. Or, I feel confident professing my love for hearing Chuck Mangione on the radio through a text thread with them, or so.
It's funny you should mention that. I went to an antique store in my neighborhood, and they had their vinyl sale, and I went through the 7-inches, and I got Feel So Good on 7-inch. Never had it. I put it on, and I'm good for the next 10 years or so. But first time I'd heard it since like childhood, and I got it for $1.
I mean, did it in fact feel so good though?
It felt so 70s is what it felt
He's
like.
hugging his flugelhorn, that is clearly affirming music.
Yeah.
I realize my story didn't go anywhere, but it's the only Chuck Mangione story I have in my head, so I thought I'd share that. That's all I got. That's it.
John, I'm surprised that you brought up Chuck Mangione rather than Dave Brubeck. I thought you would take it more in a Brubeck direction.
Is that or Herb Alpert?
Yeah.
All right, this is where I pull the metaphorical train into the station. Tomorrow night at the Hideout, it is Josh Caterer, it is John San Juan, it is John Perrin. Do you guys have a name? Is it just the Josh Caterer band? What is this?
Oh, we haven't discussed that. I mean,
You're recording an album tomorrow.
right. You don't. If you're gonna create a piece of art, you don't start with a title. You make it, and then the title follows. So I don't know.
It reveals itself organically.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, tomorrow night, hideoutchicago.com. Get your tickets. Go watch these guys perform. We're all starved for live music. Furthermore, we're starved for good live music. This is going to be awesome. Thank you guys for doing this.
Good to see you, James.
Break a leg.